finances, and we're going to relate that to inflation. And the topic is kind of a little broad in context, but I try to make it more meaningful so that at least we can gain something out of this meeting. And so we'll talk about inflation. We'll talk about making important financial decisions. We'll talk about credits. We'll talk about investments. We'll talk about basic finance. So I'll name it Finance 101, which are very important when it comes to our lives here as citizens of the United States or immigrants. And so first of all, let's kind of try to understand what inflation is all about. And then once we know what is inflation, then we are going to relate that to our current living. So basically, when we talk about inflation, inflation is just the rises in prices of goods and services, which can be translated as the decline of purchasing power over time. So when we talk about purchasing power, what it means is that it's the money that you have in your hands. What is the value of it? As of today, if you go to the grocery and you're buying something, how much money can buy the same item compared to yesterday or compared to tomorrow? So if the prices of the item increases, that means there's an inflation. And so that is what inflation is all about. Now, when we talk about inflation, there are basically three types of inflation. So the first one is what we call, if you look at the first slide, the first one says demand pool inflation. When we say demand pool inflation, what it means is that it is the aggregate demand that exceeds aggregate supply. So for instance, if 6 of us, we want to Walmart, we want to buy water, but we have four packs of water on the shelves, but we are 6. What happens is that if I have more money, I will say, instead of the water being sold at $1 per bottle, no, I'll give you $1.50. And then the other one will say, no, I'll give you $2 per bottle. So we'll be scrambling for the same item. So that one is what we call the demand pool. So there's more demand for the item than the number of items on sale. The second one is what we call cost push. When we talk about cost push inflation, what it means is that there is so much money. So for instance, during 2020 and 2021, we have the stimulus package and all that. So everybody has some money, some kind of excess money to spend. And therefore, because there's money in the system, we bought things that probably were not needed. So people will spend and spend and spend because there's some money. Or during tax season, when we have our refunds, you see people changing their cars. You see people buying stuff, even though it wasn't a need, but people will use the money and spend it. So that's what we call cost push inflation. And then the very last one is called built-in inflation. So built-in inflation is an example is COVID-19, for instance. So in 2020, we had COVID, we still have COVID, but the impact of COVID has affected the prices of goods and services because the cost of raw materials has gone up. People want more money. You're looking for raw material to produce something. Like baby formula, for instance. It got to a point where, we get our baby formulas from Ireland or so. It got to a point where there wasn't any because of, I was told, how do we call it? It's an infection or whatever it's a thing, something took place and then we're out of it. So cost of raw materials will increase. And if they increase, then we have what we call built-in inflation. So it will make more sense to you as we go on, but I'll pause at a moment and then you guys will, ask questions and I'll try to answer them. So let's go to the next slide, which is the second slide. I just want to show you, I just picked some few countries as immigrants. So United States, as at the end of August, our inflation rate is 8.263%. If you are from Ghana and you are investing in Ghana, the value of your money has depreciated. Inflation is 33.9, say 34%, as at the end of August. Per the news today, inflation in Ghana is 40%. If you are from Nigeria, as at the end of August, inflation is 17.4%. If you are from Tanzania, inflation is very good over there, 4.6. So, Madam President, you're from Tanzania, right? Or where you from?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So your country is way, way better when it comes to inflation. If you are
Thank you, Jesus.
if you
Who said that? I beg.
if you are from Liberia, 6.3. If you are from Sierra Leone, 29.50%. So this is the current inflation as at August 31st, 2022, from the countries we come from. And in the United States, it's 8.263%. So before I pause and you ladies will ask questions, there is something very, very important when it comes to inflation and money. And that is what we call the time value of money. Time value of money. Can you ladies see the slide number 3? At least you can see slide number 3, right? I can't hear anybody.
No, brother Frankie, I can't see it. I just see the first one, I think.
Okay, so Sister Audrey, can you scroll down a little bit? Let them see slide number 3.
Yes, sir. Look, inflation in Tanzania.
Okay, let's see. So scroll down.
Yes.
The very last one. It says time value of money. You see time value of money?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you scroll up a little bit so that we can see? They can see everything. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, yeah, good. So, okay, go down a little bit. You see time value. Yeah, that's good. Time value of money. Can you ladies say it?
Yes.
It's very, very important concept.
Okay.
When we say time value of money, what we are saying is that it is the sum of money, how much the money is worth today compared to how much that same money it's worth tomorrow. So, for instance, if you have $10 today, or somebody comes to you, a sister, a brother come to you and say, can you lend me $10 and then I'll pay you next month at the end of the month? I just want you to know that giving that person $10 today, because of inflation, if the person pays you the same $10 at the end of October, the end of November, the value of your money has decreased. What it means is that what $10 can buy today, that same $10 cannot buy tomorrow, in simple terms. So there are two components when we talk about time value of money. The first component is what we call present value of money. So the present value of money is the purchasing power, how much the value of the money you are carrying with you right now. $10. What can $10 buy at Walmart? And then that same $10 at the end of the month or at the end of next month, can that same $10 buy the same item with the same value at Walmart? The answer is no. And the reason is that there's going to be an inflation. So if you invest that money today at the bank, let's say you invest that money into something, at the end of the month, you're going to have a profit margin on it. And so if you add that profit margin to that money, then it's going to catch up with the inflation or the loss of value in that money. Is it making a lot of sense, ladies?
Yes.
So for instance, let me give you an example. In 2014, I had a friend who sent $2,100 to Ghana, and then that person invested that money into treasury bills. You know, government treasury bills has fixed interest rate. So for instance, they will say, okay, if you buy a treasury bill worth maybe $100 at the end of the year with an interest rate of 10%, I'm going to give you an additional $1 in addition to your $10, making it $11. So that money I was talking about, 2,100 was sent in 2014 And so that money has been rolling back. So at the end of every year, that money, the treasury bill is being bought again. It's been bought again. As we speak today, that money, Ghana cedis. So that money is 18,000 Ghana. Yet the $2,100, if you take it to Ghana right now with an interest rate of $1 to 10, you're going to get 21,000 Ghana cedis. What it means is that if that person had kept the money, even without doing anything with the money over here in the United States, it would have still worth more than sending the money to Africa or sending the money to Ghana for an investment with an interest rate of 10% or even higher. So, yes. So, wow. Yeah. So I'm going to pause here. I'm going to pause here for you ladies to ask questions. But what I'm trying to say is that whatever you want to invest your money, you got to factor into the value and the depreciation of the currency and the inflation in that country, which is very, very important. That is why I say time value of money. And there are two components, the present value and the future value. So now let me pause here and let's ask questions about inflation and let's ask questions about time value of money. So I hear Sister Audrey want to ask a question. Yes. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, I have the number, 29%. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. So my recommendation is that don't be tempted, especially when it comes to the country Ghana right now, for you to be sending money to Ghana. It is not good. I'll give you a scenario. I mean, as we go on, there's going to be a PowerPoint slide that I'm going to show with you. Now, when you send money right now to Ghana, the interest rate on treasury bills is about 29%. But the example I gave you, for instance, if that money was sitting down here without even doing anything with it, it still will have fetched you more, because in Ghana, they are not able to manage the dollar. And so the depreciation of the cedi is so high that the value of your money doesn't worth much even in tomorrow. And then what I'm hearing from the news, which I'm sharing with you, is that there's a high probability of what we call debt restructuring. When we talk about debt restructuring, what it means is that if the government owes you, they're getting to a point where they are not able to pay their obligations. They are not able to pay their debtors. So if you have, say, 10,000 Ghana with the government of Ghana in treasury bills maturing in 1 year, the government will come to you and say, hey, I cannot pay. So I need more time. Either you give me 2 more years or 1 more year in addition to the year that we have, or if you need your money right now, then I'm going to pay you with a discount. That is what debt restructuring is all about.
Wow.
So your 10,000 Ghana, the government can decide and say, hey, if you want your money right now, I'm going to give you 8,000. I'm going to give you 7,000. That is how much I can pay.
And that instead of 10,000?
Yeah, that is how bad we get into when it comes to Ghana situation. So if you want to send money to Ghana, hold on right now, hold on. It is not a good time at all to be sending money for investment in Ghana because of time value of money and the depreciation of the cedi. So inflation is eating into everything. Any more question? Did I answer your question? Sure. Mm-hmm. 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 Sure. Yes, because they need it. They need the money so much. They need the money so much. They are encouraging everybody to bring money down. But remember, if you are doing treasury bill in dollar terms, then go for it. So that is a problem. if you are doing anything in dollar rate, then I'll encourage you to go for it. Even if they give you 2% interest rate, it's still better to invest in Ghana when it comes to dollar than to invest it over here. But if they are going to convert that into a cedi, then don't. The value of your money will depreciate so much that it wouldn't worth it. You are going to be losing money. You're welcome. Any other question before we move on to slide 4?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, this is about buying it. This in the shares. Yeah, in the banks. Yeah. So is this inflation going to affect that also when you're buying a share?
Okay, so when you're buying a share,
yeah.
Now, are you buying the share right here in the States or in Ghana?
In Ghana?
Yes. So yes, any kind of investment, which we are going to talk about, there are slides on shares and all those things. But to answer your question, any kind of investment you are making in Ghana right now, if it's not something, for instance, the only thing you are going to gain from is to buy a land. Okay. Land does not depreciate. It is the only fixed asset that doesn't depreciate. So if you have money and the land is secured, there's not going to be any litigation. There are not going to be, people, taking it away from you, and you are very convinced. Then if you have money, go buy multiple lands. Just let it sit. Do the documentation. I can guarantee you in the next few years, they're going to appreciate so much. You sell it and then you make huge profit. Beside land, if you take your money and say you're going to buy a share, then embrace for a long period of time. What happens with shares is that you are just buying a piece of a company. So for instance, you want to buy ADB shares. ADB is issuing shares. You want to buy a couple. If you are going for it, this is what is going to happen. At the end of the year, I'm going to talk about it, but I just want to go ahead of myself a little bit to explain this to you. At the end of the year, if the company decide, they do their businesses and then they run their financial statement and they make profit, they are going to share the profit among the shareholders. So that is the essence of buying a share. But still, in this case, for instance, if you send your money, which is dollar, you send it to Ghana, it's being changed to a cedi. The company is operating in cedi terms. And therefore, the profit they are going to declare is still in cedis. The money they are going to give it to you is cedis. You convert that cedis back to a dollar and it still becomes smaller. So even though you are making profit if you are in Ghana, but if you are living here in the States, then it still doesn't worth it because of the depreciation of the cedi.
Okay.
But we're gonna talk about shares and all that in the next, some few slides ahead of us.
Okay, all right.
Okay. So the next slide number 4, I want us to talk about credit score and its importance. You ladies can see it, right? Credit score.
Yes.
Credit score. It's very, very important. As we live here as immigrants, we have to understand these things so that we can also, this is credit score. When we talk about credit score is like a passport to travel. When you're coming from Africa, you need a passport to travel here. That is credit score. So credit score is basically, it's just a number, to measure your financial health and how well you can manage credit and debt. So what we do with credit score is that we assign what we call a weighted average, some point, to a number, and it ranges between 300 and 850. So this credit score is very, very important when it comes to your financial health. If you want to buy something on credit, everybody will ask about your credit. Everybody will pull your credit. So what goes into your credit is very, very important. The next slide is going to tell you the composition of the credit score. Now, people ask, what is the difference between a credit score and a FICO score? Have you ladies heard that? Credit score and FICO score?
Yes.
Now, FICO score stands for the Fair Isaac Corporation. It's just a big corporation that collects data from individuals. As you buy something, you pay with a credit card, you pay with a check, everything you are doing financially, they collect information about you. They put all this in a data format and assign numbers to it. And that is what we call a FICO score. So the financial numbers that is assigned to the FICO score become your credit score. So you can use them interchangeably, a credit score and a FICO score. But a FICO score is just analyzing, picking every information about you financially as you buy a house, as you pay for a credit card, as you apply for credit card, as you apply for a loan, everything you are doing financially. There are people gathering all that data. And the corporation that does that is what we call the Fair Isaac Corporation, FICO. FICO. So that's the meaning of the FICO. So the FICO score is all the data that these guys will gather, and then they put numbers to it, and it becomes your credit score. And so,
Brother,
yes.
Because on a FICO score, I have a question. Because sometimes when I uploaded my credit, I always check my credit frequently. It's on my phone. But there will be, sometimes it will say like, your credit increased, but your FICO is the same, or your FICO did not be affected, did not change. What does that mean?
Okay, so I think the next two slides, I'm gonna answer your question in the next two slides, because I'll give you the composition of the FICO score, what goes into your FICO score. So I'll tell you as to why it may change or it may not change. Okay. So like I was saying, maintaining a high credit score is very, very important. Because if you have a higher credit score, it means you are financially wealthy. I mean, somebody can trust you and give you a loan. Somebody can trust you and borrow, give you money so that you can pay later. That is the meaning of it. And if yours is weak or is poor, then they think you are not a good person. So in the eye of the public, whoever has a good credit score, it's seen as an angel. And then whoever has a poor credit score is seen as the devil. You are not a good person. So I will encourage each and every one, try as much as possible, especially if you are owing on something, do the minimum payment at least, keep your credit so that you don't lose everything. Trust me, if you lose your credit in everything, it's very, very dangerous to get, it's very, very difficult to get a loan, or anybody can give you money. Everybody's afraid of you, like you're a bad person. So let's take note of that. Now, the next slide talks about the FICO score and their meaning. So I said earlier, it ranges from 300 to 850. That is. So can you see that blue stuff, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it looks small. I don't know whether you ladies can see well, but what I'm trying to say here is that on the left, we have the FICO score. In the middle, we have the rating. And then on the right, we have what the score means. I put this in place for you to understand. So for instance, if somebody had a FICO score of less than 580, in the eye of the public or from financial institution point of view, your credit is poor. And what it means is that you are well below average people in the United States. And you demonstrate to lenders that you are a risky borrower. That is what it means about you. The second one, if you have a FICO score of 580 to 669, you are regarded from financial point of view that you are below an average person in the United States. And many lenders will approve your loan, but you are seen as a fair person. Between 670 to 739, you are considered good rating. And then what it means is that most lenders will consider this as a good score. So you get a loan. Now, 740 to 799, you are considered as a very good when it comes to rating. Now, you are above average in the United States and demonstrate to lenders that you are a very dependable borrower. If you have anything above 800, you are considered exceptional. and therefore you demonstrate to lenders you are an exceptional borrower. So what it means is that if Madam A has a credit score of less than 580 compared to Madam B, who has a credit score of 800 plus, we both go to the bank, we want a loan for something. The probability that Madam A will not get it is very high. But even if the bank want to lend money to Madam A, they're going to give it to you at a very high interest rate because you are regarded as a risky borrower. Nobody want to give somebody who is risky money. And then Madam B, who has a credit score of 800 plus, is regarded as an exceptional borrower. And therefore, the interest rate you're going to get on your loan is very, very minimal. So this is the key to financial success. If you want to buy a car right now and you have a credit score, a very exceptional credit score, trust me, you're going to get a very low interest rate. And therefore, the amount of money you're going to pay to this car dealers is going to be very small compared to somebody who has a poor credit rating. You may get a car all right, but they will tell you, hey, the interest rate is 20%. And guess what? You are buying a car for $20,000 and your interest rate of 20%. What it means is that by the time you finish paying that car, you're going to pay almost double. It's just a waste of money. So maintaining a good credit, it's very, very important. Let me go to the next slide, and I'm going to open the line. I'm going to ask you to ask questions now. So let's look at the second slide, the sixth slide. I term it the composition of your credit, which relates to Madam President's question. So I'm going to try to explain it here for you ladies to understand. Can you see that pie chart? It looks a little small, but
yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, you can share. I can share the PowerPoint slide with you ladies afterwards, but at least I want you to understand this. So now, this is the composition of your credit. Of your total credit, 30% has to do with the amount of money you owe. So for instance, if you have credit card, you have car payment, you have a mortgage payment, everything, student loan payment, anything you can think of, all the money you are owing comprises 30% of your FICO score. Now, the next one is 15%, and that has to do with the length of your credit. So for instance, have you ever heard somebody say that, hey, they run my credit, they say I don't have any credit? Have you heard that before?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So what it means is that you've been in a system not long ago, so you've not been spending so much money. You may not be paying rent. You don't have a credit card, or even if you do, it's just a couple of months ago. And so the length of your credit comprises 15% of your FICO score. So for instance, I've been here long enough. So if you pull my credit right now, my length of credit, I have my 15%. Because I've been here long enough, I have credit cards and they are long enough, okay? I mean, we're talking about over 10 years, over 15 years, okay? So if you pull my credit right now, my score will be 15% when it comes to the length of credit. I meet that criteria. Now, the next one has to do with the credit mix. The credit mix, what it means is that, do you have a credit card? Do you have a car loan? Do you have a student loan? Do you have mortgage? The number, I mean, all the loans put together is what we call the credit mix. So there's somebody who doesn't even have any debt at all. There are people like that. So if you don't have any debt at all, don't assume that that is the best thing to do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying go for debt, but I'm saying that if you are here, you don't owe anybody. You don't owe anybody at all. You are losing 10% of your FICO score.
Yeah.
Because you don't owe anybody. So how will somebody also determine whether if they lend you money, you are dependable enough so they can lend you money? You haven't owed anybody. Does it make sense? So
yeah.
So what it means is that they encourage us to at least owe something little so that we can get this 10% of the credit, the FICO score. But I'm not saying go and be borrowing because Brother Frank says I have to owe to increase my credit. No, that's not what I'm saying. But if you have the means, buy with credit, at the end of the month, pay it off. That's the best way to go. But don't think, oh, me, I'm afraid of debt. I don't want to owe anybody, so I just use my debit card. No, it's not helping you. If you have the money in the bank, use the credit card to do your grocery shopping. At the end of the month, they bring the statement, make sure you pay it off. That is what good credit management is all about. So don't think that you are not owing anybody, so it's a good thing to do. No. If somebody is owing a little bit and they are paying it off, they are still much better in terms of finance when it comes to lenders, the side of lenders. That person is better than you who decided not to owe anybody, Now, the next one has to do with new credit. That is 10%. So for instance, like I said, I've been here long enough. So I have some credit cards that are more than 15 years old, okay? And so comparing me to somebody who just came to the States 6 months ago, and that person has a credit card, I will still have a better credit than the person because this credit company has known me for 15 years or 18 years, and I've been making my payment. So they consider me a reliable person than somebody who just came and applied for a credit card or who is not owing anything at all. And then finally, the next one has to do with 35% of your payment history. It is very, very important too. Whatever amount you are owing on your credit card, you got to make sure at least you are paying the minimum. Do not wait. Do not make late payment. Don't wait till the very last moment. It's very, very important. Payment history. If you receive your statement, make sure you pay it before the due date, or at least on the due date, make sure your minimum payment is sent to them, they've received it. And by doing that, you are building a reputation for yourself. You are building an image for yourself. You are creating a good domain for yourself when it comes to finances. So in the future, if you need money and you walk into a bank and they say, hey, bank, I need money for this, all they're going to do is just pull your credit. Oh, okay. You've been making your payment on time. You are paying more than the minimum. You are not owing more than 30% of your credit limit. And all those things put together, that gives you a very good credit. And so somebody with a good credit today and somebody with a bad credit, the two of them, when they go to a bank, you may be the apostle of the church. If your credit is bad, in the sight of the lenders, you are nobody financially. So it doesn't matter your religious status. It doesn't matter who you are. Nobody cares about who you are, whether you are a PhD holder or you've not been to school. That doesn't matter. What matters is that who has a very good credit, so that when I lend that person money, I'll be convinced that that person will be able to pay me back. So before I move to the next slide, I'll pause here and invite questions. Any questions on the composition of our credits and what goes into the credit and the FICO scores and their meanings and the credits and their importance? Any question on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Under the composition of your credit, you made mention of total credit. Maybe give an example of 30%. And then another one, the 15%. Can you throw more light on those?
Okay.
The 30% and 50%. Yeah.
Okay. So the 30%, what I talk about is the amount that you are owing. So the thumb of rule here is that whenever you have a credit card, let's say your credit limit is 10,000.
Okay.
The recommended amount of money you should spend shouldn't be more than 30% of the 10,000. So that means don't spend, if you can, don't spend more than 3,000 out of the 10,000 that you are given.
Well, okay.
That is the best way to go, if you can. But if you are not able to do that, that's okay. But make sure that at the end of the month, you are making your payment on time and you are paying more than the minimum. What happens is that if you are paying just the minimum, Sometimes we all do. Sometimes, there are challenges and you only have to make the minimum payment. What happens is that as you're making the minimum payment, it takes so long a time for you to pay it off. And then you are just giving them money. You are just giving them, paying money to them, interest, and we are not, the capital is still remains almost the same. Nothing changes. So if you can, try and fight for a larger amount. So for instance, 10,000. As you build every 6 months, you can request for a credit increase. So if you have 10,000 every 6 months, you can tell them, hey, I need you to increase my credit. They can give you 12,000 or 15,000.
Brother Eric, hold on that increase.
Okay.
So if I request the increase, because I normally wait till the bank increase on itself.
Mm-hmm.
So if you request for increase, does that make your credit, because it's going to put a hint on your credit, so that will make your credit low?
Yes. So this is how it is. I learned this trick just about a year ago. If you speak to an agent and you ask for an increase of your credit, they're going to pull your credit. And by pulling your credit, you're going to lose 5% of your FICO score.
Oh.
So what you do is that go online between midnight and 4 a.m.
Hey. I beg.
Between midnight and 4 a.m. and ask for a credit increase online.
Oh.
Yes, you'll get the increase, but it has to be at least 6 months interval from the last time your credit would increase.
So when they say soft pull, that's not supposed to hurt your credit score, right?
Yes. So if it's a soft pull, then it's not going to hurt your credit. But if they didn't say that and you are asking for it, then whoever pulls your credit, even if you are going for a job, you want to rent an apartment, you want to buy a house, whatever you are doing, whoever is pulling your credit and the person doesn't indicate that it's a soft pull, then you are going to lose 5% of your FICO score. So bear that in mind.
Oh, so in another way, it's good every time when you do like a shopping or something like that, you have to tell them to do a soft pull.
Yes. So if somebody want to pull your credit, you ask them, is it going to be a soft pull or a regular pull? And if they say a soft pull, then you're good to go. Otherwise, whoever pulls your credit, you are going to lose 5%. So for instance, if your credit score is 750, and this month you apply to 2 jobs, they all check your credits, you are losing 10 points. So now it becomes 740 instead of 750.
Okay, so I'm sorry, guys. I have so many questions on that.
That's okay. Yeah, that's okay.
Part. So, is that which one it would be a better idea, to ask for the lender to increase the amount or to open a new credit line?
Okay, so the best way to go is to wait for the lender himself to increase your credit. What happens is that they review your credit every 6 months. So every 6 months, your credit is being reviewed. And if you are doing well, you're paying on time, you are not late, you are paying more than the minimum, you are spending the credit and paying it off, then it tells the lender that, oh, let me give the person more money so they can spend more, because their aim is to make money off you. So they want to give you more money to spend anyhow. So it's a trap. So play the game. They want to give you more money to spend, but remember, as you spend, make sure you have the money to pay. Otherwise, you're going to get yourself in a deep, deep, deep hole, and you're going to be in trouble. So the best option is to allow the lender to increase it. For me, I don't ask for it. One time I asked for it, and I did not get it because they said it was less than 6 months. And then a month or so later, they just increase it themselves. So, okay, good. So I have 3 credit cards. I mean, but they keep increasing because I've been here long enough, 18 years. So now my credit limit is big, okay, because I have good history of payment, good payment history, amount owed, length of credit, credit mix, all that. So credit is very, very important. Now, this is my recommendation. This whole thing is a game. To be honest with you, the ideal is for you to have not more than 3 credit cards, maximum 3. Maximum. So if you are here and you have more than 3 credit cards, you're getting yourself gradually into a hole. Do not go more than 3. And with all these 3, if you can, do not spend more than 30% of your credit limit. If you can, that is per individual. I cannot tell you don't spend. I mean, everybody's different. Oh, I do spend more than that. So
I know, like we need to have like 2 weeks.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, so, no, Adri, you need to ask it here so we can all learn from it. Lenders.
Oh. Okay. So my advice is that, you know, in the banking sector, we have the major players like Wells Fargo, the Bank of America, and all those. And then we have the credit unions. Anytime you need money and you want to borrow money, go to the credit union, regardless of whether you save with them or not. This is what happened. The credit union, they have the minimum interest rate you can ever get. So talk about Navy Federal, Apple, what they do. Whenever you want money, just walk to a credit union. So you go to, for instance, you go to the dealer, you want a car worth 30,000, 40,000, whatever amount. Go to the credit union, tell them, I need a loan of 30,000. The credit union will give you a loan of 30,000 with an interest rate, depending on your credit, between 3 to 6%. And then you take that check and go to the dealer and pay the car off without financing the car with a dealer. Because the dealership is a business. So they're just taking your money. So pay the lower interest rate to the credit union than the car dealership who is going to give it to you at 10%. 10% is not the same as 6%. So for instance, my wife is on the line. I mean, we bought this car like I think last year, March or something, the one she's been driving. We went to the dealer and we said, okay, we didn't tell them we're going to pay it off with cash. Now they were like, okay, this is how much we're going to sell it. I said, okay. We negotiated everything. We test drive everything. Now, when it's time for payment, they said, okay, how long are you going to finance? And we said, no, we're not going to finance it. We're gonna write you a check. And then they said, no, they're not going to sell it at the price they told us they're going to sell it. We asked why, and the reason is that because they are not making any money. So they added, because we're paying cash down right away, they added, Dorcas, are you there? Is it $500 or $1,000? Just because 500. We have, okay, 500. Just because we have the money and we're going to pay it off right away, even the price at which the car is being sold for was increased because we're paying it off, and therefore they are not going to make money off us. So that's what happens. If you can avoid financing with a dealer, rather finance your car with a credit union like Navy Federal or Apple. And they are the best interest rate you can get, the lowest interest rate you can get.
Okay.
Okay. Any other question before we move on? Otherwise, we're not going to finish the slide today.
We're going to have a part 2.
Okay. Any more questions before we move on? Okay. If no questions, then let's move to slide number 8. and let's talk about investments. Slide number 8, and let's talk about investments. No, you're way come up, all the way up. The title is three main types of investment. Okay, so you ladies can say it. Now there are various types of investments, but I categorize them into 3. The first one is what we call stocks. Stocks and shares. As Sister Joyce who asked about?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So stocks and shares, I mean, they are almost the same. They are similar. Now, when we talk about stocks, what it means is that a company will float its stocks on the stock exchange market, or even in Ghana, whatever, any company you can think of. Now, they ask people to come and buy. It's just a piece of paper, okay, in exchange of money. And then, so it's like a cake. The company is a cake. Okay, give me $100 and I'll give you a piece of cake. So you become part of the company. There are basically 2 types of stocks that you can buy. The first one is what we call common stock. And then the second one is what we call the preferred stock. The common stock is that when you buy a stock from a company, at the end of the year, if the company makes profit, they decide how much they want to distribute to the stockholders or the stock owners. Now, the preferred stock owners are the people who are the least. So when they are sharing the money, you are the very last one they're going to share the money to. But the common stock people are the people that receive the profit sharing first. So if you are sharing the profit, the common stock people will receive theirs first. The preferred stock will be the very last people to receive it. Now, the next type of investments are what we call bonds. Bonds are just lending money to a company or a government entity, such as a city or a state or a nation. So just as Ghana is doing right now, they are asking for more money because they need money to spend. So, oh, bring money from ISA, bring money. We'll give you this interest. But bonds, because they are very stable. Now, before I even come to the bond, let me also emphasize that stocks are the most volatile types of investment. When we talk about volatile, what it means is that it fluctuates frequently. Yeah. It fluctuates so much that today it can be 100, tomorrow it's 60, like the cryptocurrency. Very, very fragile. So if you're buying stocks, just hold on. I mean, hold your breath. Don't freak out. Today, you might think you are losing everything, but tomorrow you will gain big. So the risk with stocks is very, very important for you to know, so that don't assume that, oh, once I put $100 in, every day should be $100. It can go up to 1,000. It can come down to $50 at any given time. So that is how the stock market works. But in the long run, stocks are good. For instance, I remember when President Obama was leaving office, when you look at the S&P, I mean, the stock market, it was hovering around 18,000 per stock. Now the general thing is about $34,000 per stock. So if you have something, just wait. It will mature. It will increase eventually, but you just need time. So that's how the stock market works. Now I was talking about bonds. So you lend money to the government at a fixed rate, so maybe 2%. So your money doesn't go up and down just as the stocks works. The bonds are very stable. I mean, at the end of the bond period, the maturity is between 3 to 5 years. So when you buy a bond, between 3 to 5 years, you can cash your bond, and then at the interest rate that was negotiated when you were buying it. Now, the third one has to do with cash equivalent. When I talk about cash equivalent, I'm talking about savings account. I'm talking about the money market account. I'm talking about things like certificate of deposit. Those, yes, you make some money, but the interest rate is so tiny. So if you look at your statement, if you have a savings account, look at the interest rate they are giving you, like 0.00045%. So even though your money is sitting down there, you have $5,000 sitting down there, at the end of the month, you make $2 on the $5,000. So you make some money, but the interest rate is so low. So the money you are making is not that much. So that is the cash equivalent. But you can quickly have access to your money. You can just go to the bank and take all your money. Nobody says anything. So just so you know. And then finally, I said, you can also invest in any of these three types, whether stocks or bonds or cash equivalent. But my recommendation, based on personal experiences, based on what I've read, based on what I know, my recommendation, instead of putting your money in a stock market or in the bonds or cash equivalent, buy a house. Even if you have one already, you can still buy another one. And I'm going to prove to you why in the next two slides. Why buying a house, it's way better than putting your money in a stock market and putting your money in a bonds market or in a cash equivalent market. So let's see why my recommendation is to buy a house. Even if you have one, you can buy additional one. If you have two, you can buy three. If you have three, you can buy four. Buy as many as possible. And I'm going to tell you why. Now, let's look at the next slide. The next slide say why you need to buy a house. You see this black, whatever, you can see some numbers. You can see 567, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this house was bought in July 2013. And the price at that time was $235. $235. So 2013 to 2022, that is 9 years, right? Okay. You see the price of the house right now? It's $567,000 in 9 years. So we're going to do a little math. If you look at this, it means your house, that house has appreciated by 74% from when that house was bought. I'm told there are some guys here too. So can you all hear me though? Yes. So that house has increased in 9 years by 74% from 235,000 to 567,000. Now let's look at the next slide. Can you see the next slide when it says 261,808?
Yes.
What it means is that if the person who bought the house in 2013 at $235,000 decide to sell that same house at the end of August 2022, that person would have pocketed $261,808 into their pocket. What investment can you do right now and make this so much money beside a house? So, yes, go for it. Yes, as a down payment. What happens is that when you buy a house, there are so many benefits, and I can recommend. I mean, Pastor Bo is a realtor, Brother John is a realtor, and they can talk to you more about this. This is what happens. The down payment that you put, to get a house is an equity in a house. Now, as you live, whether you live, okay, let's even assume you have one that you're living in. So you bought another one. You are going to rent that house out. You're making some money. Whoever is renting right now, I can guarantee you that you are paying more than how much the owner of the house is paying in mortgage. It's just a fact. So maybe you live in an apartment. You say, oh, I don't want to owe anybody. I don't want to live there. You are paying $1,600, 2-bedroom apartment. I can tell you that apartment, the payment they are making on your part of the apartment is less than the 1,600. It's about 1,300. Yet they are giving it to you at 1,600. So they are making money off you $300. Each year they are making 3,600. Assuming you live there for 10 years. 3,600 times 10, $36,000. That is the money you've paid. You've just wasted that money. You've just given that money to somebody. 10 years, $36,000. Now, if you also buy the house and you decide to live in the house, this is how they appreciate. As you live in the house, you build what we call equity. Equity is that you are paying down the principal. So as the house increases, the money that you are building in the house is what we call the equity. You can just walk to a bank and tell them, hey, I have a house worth $500,000. Let's assume you bought the house for $400,000. So a couple of years later, you can just walk to any bank and you tell them, hey, I have equity in my house. I need a loan of $100,000. What the bank will do is that they will get people to come and appraise your house. If they came and appraise your house and your house is worth $500,000, the bank can guarantee you 80% of the difference between the $400,000 and the $500,000, which is $100,000. They can give you money of $80,000 for different investment. You can decide to take $80,000 from your house, from the bank, and use it for whatever you want to do. So buying a house, I want to encourage everyone, do not be scared. People say, how about if I'm not able to pay? Let me also ask you, since you've been in this country, how many months have you not paid rent? You've been here 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Can you count the number of months that you did not pay rent in your life? So what are you afraid of? God will help you to pay for your mortgage. Just as you are paying for your rent, God will help you. And then guess what? When you file a tax, people who have houses, they benefit. The government will give you some credits just by owning a house. All the insurance you are paying on the house, they are tax deductible. All the taxes you are paying, the state tax, whatever, property tax, all those things you are paying, they are all tax deductible. And in a sight of the lenders, if you own a house, you are seen as a better person because you can manage money. You are responsible. So these does not need tongues. These does not need prayers. Okay, it's finance 101. How to get rich, how to make money.
Yeah.
So don't just go to church and listen to the word of God. That alone is not enough. Financially, you got to plan.
Yeah.
Miracles do happen, but I don't want you to be over dependent on miracle that next month somebody is going to put $100,000 in your account. You got to invest in your life financially, and money will start coming. Let money work for you. Yeah. If you are working and at your job place there is 401k, there are things that your employer can match. Invest in them. Because once you receive the money, it's difficult to save. So let them take the money out. And before getting to you,
yeah,
you are saving, you are building, we are growing. When I was coming 18 years ago, I thought I was going to be in the state for 10 years and go back. But then I'll be rich and go back. Here I am, 18 years, and I'm still here. And I'm not rich.
You are rich in Jesus' name.
Why is the rich doctor not rich?
You are rich in Jesus' name. So, Brother Frank,
hello.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
So my question is on the types of investment. Let's say for the kids saving account. Do you think it's good idea if you pull their money and put on bonds, or just better just because it's a long time live on their student saving account?
Yes. Okay. So if they are kids, usually you are going to prepare for their college, right?
Right.
And that's where you need a lot of money. You know, college is expensive. So right now, the best thing to do is that when you have a kid, you open an account for that little one. By the time they turn 18 and they are going to college, they have money sitting down there for their college. So yes, because it's a long term, you can go for bonds. People can even go for stocks, but it's so volatile, like I said. So if you don't take care, you're going to have you're going to be like, oh no.
Yeah.
So bonds will be safe. Every year you have a fixed amount of interest that accumulate on your bond, say 5%, whatever amount it is. But if you go to a bank, they'll give you the options of all the bonds that they have. And because it's going to be a long term, go ahead and do that instead. Do not leave your money sitting down beside your emergency fund. Do not leave money just sitting down anyhow, like a savings account. Unless you are saving towards a project like a house, a down payment of a house or something. But if you are not investing the money, do not let the money sit for nothing. Let money work for you. You should get to a point where even when you sleep, you should be making money.
That's true.
We shouldn't go to work 16 hours every day for the rest of our lives. We cannot do that forever. So let's create multiple sources of income. You invest here, you invest there, you invest here, you invest there, and they all bring some money in there. Like I'm saying, I don't want you to also think that, hey, Frank is able to do everything he's talking about. No, I'm human, you know.
Yeah.
I'm just like you. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Yes. It's another way of investing. There are basically three types of life insurance. We have the term life insurance, the universal life insurance, and the whole life. So if you have somebody that will going to speak on it, that's good, and then I can join. But at least I know more about it, and then I can also contribute. Yeah, I can contribute to that. Yeah, but usually I used to be a life insurance agent back in another state before I moved here, but I'm not certified in this state, so I cannot I cannot teach you guys because I'm not certified in the state. Yeah, but at least I have the background. So if you bring in somebody, I can be part of it and just contribute as little as I can. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. I have a quick question.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how many more slides you have left, but can you throw more light on the 401k? How much you're supposed to what percentage is a reasonable percentage that you can elect?
Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, I have something on 401k, but since it's here, I mean, it's better we answer the questions than just talk. Okay. So now 401k, there are many, regardless of wherever you work. I work with a government, so I have a different 401k. Mine is called TSP. Anybody that works with the government goes with what we call a TSP. If you work in the private sector, it's the same 401k. Now, the 401k is something that you can contribute in, and then the employer will match it as to a percentage. Every business is different. Every company is different. So there are basically two types. We have the RA, the traditional RA, and the Roth RA. So what it means is that, let's take 401k, let's take it in general. Your company will say, okay, if you are able to contribute 5%, I will match up to 5%. Every company is different. In where I work, they can match up to 10%. So for instance, if I have money, I would have just pay my tithe at, at a place of work. And then they're going to match it up to 10%. So by the time you retire, that money is huge, it's big. But every company is different. Some will say, I will match the first 2%, will match the first 3%. So if you can, take advantage of it. What happens is that your paycheck, let's say your 2 weeks is $2,000. Are you able to contribute $200 out of the $2,000 into 401k and take home $1,800 instead of $2,000? Sometimes it's tough. So if you cannot, at least contribute something towards your retirement. So 401k is meant for your retirement. And as you contribute, it's tax deferred. When we say tax deferred, it means you are not paying tax on your contribution right now until you come to retirement. And then you also cannot withdraw that money if you are not 59 and a half years old without a penalty. So if you contribute to your 401k and for some reason you want to take money out of it for something else, remember there's a 10% penalty that you pay in addition to the tax that you are going to pay to the IRS. But if you wait until you are 59 and a half and decide to take or cash in on your 401k, then you are not going to pay any penalty. You only pay the tax component of it to the IRS. So basically, 401k is a tax deferred investment preparing for your retirement. When you get into your 60s and your 70s, an old man, an old woman, and you're still getting, some money, you can decide to take it on a monthly basis, which we call annuity, or you decide to take a lump sum. Okay, give all my money to me. I want to take all my money. That is another option when you go on retirement. So 401k, if you have a company, you work with a company that contributes, please go for it. These are little things. Will not be strong enough when we get to 70s and 80s. And when you get there and, money is not coming in as expected, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, okay. Now you made it bigger, huh? Okay. Can you slide down then?
Because we just soaking in, trying to be.
Okay. Any more question, or we should go on with the slides?
Go ahead with the slides.
Okay. So the next one, I talk about the power of compound interest. Can you see that Excel table?
Yes.
I put those numbers together. I'm sure most of you may have heard of the term compound interest. It's a very powerful tool. A very powerful tool. This is how it works. Let's say you have $10,000. I'm just making these numbers up. You have $10,000 and you invest this money that will compound daily. When we say compound interest, what it means is that there is an interest that is being calculated on a daily basis on the principal or the capital you've invested. So I'm using 15% here. Somebody who has $10,000, you put that money into a compound interest investment. At the end of the first year, you are going to make $1,500 with an interest rate of 15%. I use 15% because this is not per annum. It's not for the whole year. It is every day. And so every day, I added everything together and I came up with the 15% as an average. So 15% of $10,000, at the end of the first year, you make $1,500. You are going to add $1,500 to your $10,000 and you get $11,500. At the end of the second year, the 15% is worked on the $11,500. It doesn't work on the $10,000 because your principal now is $11,500. So you get an interest of $1,725. You add that $1,725 to 11,500, making your capital 13,225. At the end of the third year, it goes on and on and on. So in 10 years, if you invest in an investment that is compounded daily, in 10 years, your $10,000 becomes $40,455.58. So this is a very powerful tool. So do not let your money just sit in a savings account for nothing. But my recommendation is that have an emergency fund. Have an emergency fund in case something happens, you can lean on. Apart from the emergency fund, any money you have, invest that money. Do not let the money sitting at the bank. If you keep on seeing it, you just go and take it and buy something with it. Especially, I mean, Africans, we are fond of that. I'm sure when you open your closet right now, you have like 50 shoes. How many are you wearing? The day you are going to move from your house, I can guarantee you there are things that exist in your house that you've not seen them for years. And even getting rid of them will cost you money.
So, yes, Brother Frank, you say do not shop for shoes.
I'm saying that you don't need 50 shoes. I'm saying that you don't need 50 shoes. You need a shoe. You don't need 50 of them. You need dresses. You don't need 100 of them. You need suits. You don't need 20 of them. You need sneakers. You don't need 10 of them. Hello. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much, Brother Frank. Thank you so much for this powerful presentation. I've had a long day at work today, and I just came trying to, unwind. But this is a very interesting topic that you are treating. I want to commend you for that.
Thank you for
the power of compounding. Yes, compound interest is one person called Albert Einstein said that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands compound interest gains it. If you don't understand compound interest, you lose it. Right? So I'm so happy that you are touching this very powerful topic about compounding. Yes, it is very important. We need to put our money places where we can get a compound interest benefit instead of just leaving them in savings account and checking account and all the other 401k and all those stuff. I don't know exactly. Well, I haven't listened to the entire presentation yet, right? But is this something in connection with index accounts?
Okay, so the question that came out, somebody wanted to invest for kids for college.
Right.
And so the question that came up had to do with life insurance. And so I was like, okay, I used to be a certified one in Colorado, but I was term life insurance. So I did explain to them the basic types of, life insurance, the term, the whole, and the universal. Right. And then your name came up that, okay, you're an expert in life insurance. And I say, okay, then we can bring him on. And then maybe the little idea that I have, I can just add to whatever he has. But it has to do with investing in kids' college. When the kids are young, we have to invest in their lives so that by the time they get to college, they have money sitting down there waiting for them.
That's right.
So we're looking for a good investment that will help our kids by the time they get to college, so we'll be able to pay their fees.
Yes. So I have this product called Index Universal Life. I work with World Financial Group. About 140 companies come under this World Financial Group. So this index product, it grows compound interest. It has so many other benefits. So instead of putting your money in 529 college savings fund, which has a lot of restrictions, you can take a look at this index account. Actually, the 5% in America, they use this index account. We have three main types of account. We have fixed account that grows horizontal. We have variable accounts and index accounts, right? I rather want a platform to present whatever I have in totality. Audrey has listened to one of my presentations already, and she has decided to actually invite me to come and share what I have with you guys. So I was looking forward to that day. For those that have been called, yeah, but right. Yes, yeah. So what I would say about the child education is that when you have a child, right, there's an account that you can open for your child, not 529. The 529 has 4 restrictions. 1, if the child says, I'm not going back to school, you can lose that money, right?
Yeah.
If the child gets a scholarship, you can also lose the money because it is meant for school. So if he has scholarship, he doesn't need it. If you have 529 college savings fund account, it is a variable account. When the stock market crashes, you can lose your money. Again, if the child applies for FAFSA, the student loan account that we use for school, they cannot receive the Pell Grants. The Pell Grants has to do with the free money that they normally receive. And then the last thing is that the 529 is restricted to the state that you are in, right? If your child gets a school outside of maybe Virginia, you can't go because it is meant for institution or education expenses only. So if you have any 529 accounts, ask some questions from your bank or wherever you put your money and find out what benefits you will get. But I wouldn't ask you to open that account. Open an Index Universal account. Index Universal account. When the white person or when the white man gives birth to a baby, within 2 weeks, you know what they do? They open an index account for them. It grows compound interest. By the time the child gets to by the time the child gets to age 18, they have enough money in this account. They can take it and go to college free without having to do with any kind of student loans. So if you want your child to go to school for free, look at that